Lynn Dunn, the general manager of the Indiana Fever, came out the other day and proclaimed that she basically loves Christie Sides, and Christie Sides is going nowhere. The Indiana Fever's going nowhere either, all right?
Picture this. You're Lexie Hall. You just had a killer game. You're feeling good, ready to build on that momentum. Then boom, you're benched for Katie Lou Samuelson, who goes on to score 0 points. If you're scratching your head, you're not alone. What's going on with the Fever's coaching decisions?
There's no other way to look at it. It is absolutely coaching. It's the inability to have a sound game plan coming into the game.
You're about to witness a coaching disaster so epic, it makes rookie mistakes look like genius moves. Ever wondered how a pro coach could sabotage their own team?
After the all-world game that Lexie Hall had the other day, Christie Sides started once again Katie Lou Samuelson.
Sides just wrote the playbook on what not to do. Let's break down the blunders that have Fever fans fuming. First up, the offensive strategy, or should I say lack thereof. The Fever scored a measly 16 points in both the first and third quarters. That's not just bad, it's historically awful. We're talking about a professional basketball team here, not a high school JV squad. But wait, it gets worse. After 5 whole days of rest, you'd think the Fever would come out guns blazing, right? Wrong. They hit the court flatter than a pancake. No energy, no game plan, nothing. It's like they spent those 5 days binge watching Netflix instead of prepping for the game. Now, let's talk about Lexie Hull. Remember her killer performance in the last game? Well, Sides decided to bench her. Yeah, you heard that right. Instead of riding the hot hand, Sides thought it'd be a great idea to sit Hull and give those minutes to Katie Lou Samuelson. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Samuelson's performance, let's just say it was about as impressive as a wet firecracker. Meanwhile, Hull's watching from the sidelines, probably wondering if she accidentally walked into the Twilight Zone. But here's where it really gets mind-boggling. Sides didn't just make one questionable call. She went all in on the chaos. The rotations were messier than a toddler's finger painting. Lineups that had no business being on the court together were out there looking lost and confused. You might be thinking, okay, but maybe it was just an off night. Nope.
Caitlin Clark, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 23 points. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Leah got a real non-fraudulent double-double.
This isn't a one-time thing. Sides has been pulling these stunts all season. It's like she's playing basketball bingo with the roster, and the fans are the ones losing. Now, I know what you're thinking. How does this affect the game? Well, let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're a player on the Fever. You're trying your best to get into a rhythm, but every time you start feeling it, boom, you're yanked off the court, or worse, you're left out there with a lineup that makes about as much sense as pineapple on pizza. It's not just frustrating for the players, it's killing their confidence. And when confidence goes down, so does performance. It's a vicious cycle, and Sides is the one spinning the wheel. Think Caitlin Clark's talent is enough to overcome bad coaching.
But those three cannot do it alone. Seriously, it's ridiculous. It should not be happening.
Think again. What happens when a coach's decisions leave their star players stranded on an island? It's time to unpack the Clark and Hull conundrum that's leaving Fever fans in disbelief. Caitlin Clark came into this game with sky-high expectations. The rookie sensation had been lighting up the scoreboard, and fans were ready for another spectacular show. But what they got instead was a head-scratching performance that left everyone wondering, what the heck happened? Let's break it down. Clark managed to put up 23 points, which sounds pretty good on paper, but here's the kicker. Most of those points came in the first half. In the second half, it was like watching a magician make Clark disappear. The Lynx defense locked her down, and Sides couldn't figure out how to get her star player open. You might be thinking, okay, but 23 points is still solid, right? Sure, if you're talking about an average player, but this is Caitlin Clark we're talking about. The same Caitlin Clark who's been dropping 30+ points like it's nothing. So what changed? Simple. The opposing coach made adjustments, and Sides just watched it happen. But wait, it gets worse. Not only was Clark struggling to get open looks, but her teammates weren't exactly picking up the slack. Nellie Smith, who's supposed to be a key player for the Fever, might as well have been a ghost out there. Her contribution? Non-existent. It's like Sides forgot she had other players on the team who could, actually help. Now let's talk about Lexie Hull. Remember her? The player who was on fire in the last game. Well, Sides decided the best way to use a hot hand was to bench her. That's right, Hull went from hero to bench warmer faster than you can say bad coaching decision. Instead of letting Hull build on her momentum, Sides gave those precious minutes to Katie Lou Samuelson. And how did that work out? About as well as trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Samuelson struggled, the offense sputtered, and Hull was left wondering what she did wrong. But here's the real kicker. This isn't just about one game. It's about a pattern of misusing star players that's costing the Fever games and potentially their entire season. When you have talents like Clark and Hull, you don't just let them flounder. You build your game plan around them. You get them open looks. You put them in positions to succeed. Instead, Sides is treating her roster like a grab bag, pulling out random lineups and hoping for the best. It's like she's playing basketball bingo while the rest of the league is playing chess. And guess what? The Fever are losing big time. You might be wondering, how bad could it really be? Well, let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're Caitlin Clark. You're one of the most hyped rookies in WNBA history. You've got skills that make defenders lose sleep at night. And yet, you're watching the second half of a crucial game slip away because your coach can't figure out how to get you open or put yourself in Lexie Hull's shoes. You just had the game of your life, you're feeling confident, ready to build on that success. And then nothing. You're glued to the bench, watching your team struggle, knowing you could make a difference if only given the chance. When a team's falling apart, sometimes you need to look outside the box for solutions. What if I told you the key to unlocking the Fever's potential is currently calling plays in a completely different league? The answer to their coaching woes might just be hiding in plain sight. It's time to face facts. Christie Sides isn't cutting it. The Fever are in desperate need of a coaching overhaul, and the solution might be closer than you think. We're talking about bringing in the big guns, coaches with serious NBA experience. You might be wondering, can an NBA coach really make that much of a difference? Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a coach who's been through the fire of NBA playoffs, who knows how to craft game-winning strategies under pressure. Now picture that same coach taking the reins of the Fever. Suddenly those messy rotations, they're a thing of the past. Instead of throwing players on the court and hoping for the best, you've got a mastermind who knows how to maximize every player's strengths. No more benching hot hands like Lexie Hull. No more leaving Caitlin Clark stranded without a play. But it's not just about fixing what's broken. An experienced NBA coach could transform the entire culture of the team. We're talking about instilling confidence, creating a winning mentality, and pushing players to reach their full potential. It's the difference between playing not to lose and playing to dominate. Think about it. The Fever have raw talent. That's never been the issue. What they need is someone who knows how to mold that talent into a cohesive, unstoppable force. Someone who can look at Caitlin Clark and see not just a rookie sensation, but a future WNBA legend. Someone who can unlock Lexie Hull's potential and turn her into a consistent threat. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but can an NBA coach really understand the women's game? Here's the thing. Basketball is basketball. The fundamentals don't change. What does change is how you use those fundamentals to create a winning strategy. And that's exactly what an experienced NBA coach brings to the table. Imagine the Fever running plays that leave defenses scratching their heads. Picture Caitlin Clark getting open looks not just in the first half, but consistently throughout the game. Think about a defense so well coordinated it makes opposing teams dread facing Indiana. This isn't just about winning a few more games. It's about changing the entire trajectory of the franchise. With the right coach, the Fever could go from being the team everyone loves to play against to the team no one wants to face. But here's the real kicker. It's not just about X's and O's. A seasoned NBA coach brings a level of credibility and respect that can attract top talent. Suddenly, free agents aren't just considering the Fever, they're eager to be part of what's building in Indiana. The impact could be immediate and long-lasting. We're talking about turning the Fever from underdogs to serious contenders. From a team that struggles to score 16 points in a quarter to an offensive juggernaut that keeps scorekeepers busy all night.